Obviously, we're going to talk some Detroit Lions stuff because this is stuff that we've never seen before with 18 dudes on IR and stuff like that. But I'll tell you this, Doc, the buzz on social media, the most prevalent story, it seems to me, about it is just this continued improvement for Aiden Hutchinson. I'm not saying he's coming back this week or anything like that, but this, Doc, has become a story of recovery, right? Like you're seeing it, you're seeing the video of it and things like that. He's leaving no stone unturned, man.
No, I think hopefully for the public and the watchers, they appreciate the process. It's kind of normally like, we hear the injury, we get maybe an update. Like Alex, we're not hearing a whole lot about him, with his arm. With Hutch, we're living it, and I think it's going to be a lot more appreciative of the steps that I kind of, framed out right after the injury about the non-weight bearing, the water, then slowly walking, and then talking about how he's going to recover, how he's going to get that muscle mass back, how then you work about slow twitch fibers, fast twitch fibers. I know we have a video to explain fast twitch we'll bring in later, but the process, I think there's going to be a bigger appreciation. I think before it's like he's hurt and now he's back. There's a 6 months or whatever.
We'll see you later. See you next season. Yeah.
But you're actually living it and watching it. What I love about Hutchinson, what he's doing, he's integrating other people. He's inspiring these young kids. I mean, he's got a great soul. I mean, just to do what he does, to say hello to a kid in an airport, to go and encourage other kids that are injured. He's fighting right next to him is what his message is, which is huge. It's real. And, sometimes people think these athletes aren't real. They're not humans. They're not going to the bathroom like we do. They have some superhuman thing. No, they got feelings, they got issues, they got struggles, and they got emotional strength too. Like, I watched a thing on Saban, about mental strength. How do you determine, you got physical strength. We can look at you all day long, you got physical strength. The mental strength of you getting from professional off the couch, just a random weekend guy to a professional, to injury, to everything, that's mental strength that keeps you going. Like the guy sitting up here, I won't mention his name, but he has so much mental toughness. He struggles a lot of things, and that mental toughness is really what got him through a lot of it. You can get physical, you can get strong again, but to get mental toughness, that's you have to have that factor.
I think that's such a huge point right now, and what you're seeing is and the mental part of it. When you this is a blessing. It really is, as far as the injury, because everybody's sort of around pushing each other, but it's that mental part, and then the product on the field. So they're missing out of it. They're doing everything to get themselves back, and that will mean that they're excited to push each other. There's nothing worse than having to rehab by yourself. Even as much as I love the trainers and everything, it's just not the same. You need somebody out
juice.
There.
You need the juice.
For me, even talking about my comeback, when I would go out and I would be at Core and I would be out there on the ice with Sharky, with Sean Clark, but at least I was on the ice with somebody, a guy, and we were moving it around. You get this feeling back or whatever like that to be able to push it. There's a mentality because you get to a point, and especially with a long injury like Aiden Hutchinson, but mentally being around, there's a vibe. This is only going to benefit this club and this culture moving forward. There's something to the magic, and there's something special to having different guys, the Pat O'Connors and the different guys, to see what you have step up and help win football games when you have your starters in the training room motivated by the backups and everybody in it together. It's just such a blessing. And it's not about whether he gets back, but the rest of them mentally will be locked in together. And that's the hardest thing, the hardest part about being injured and suffering injuries. And you know what? One of the biggest guys who I would love to talk to in there that hopefully will be available this week, you look at Emmanuel Mosley. Look at this guy's last 3 years of just trying to get out on the field, like the mental toughness this kid has to have. So they feed off each other, and this is a blessing in disguise. But as far as Hutch and his mentality, but then his physicality, that it's easy for all these guys to show up and be there early and be there together. It's almost like a team away from the team. Does that make sense?
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that, not to use a generic term, but it's a family atmosphere, right? It's everybody's working together. Everybody's working for the same goal. I mean, 18 guys in the IR, that's ridiculous. I mean, but they're all helping each other. They're all working together. There's just, everybody's in the same direction. Is Hutch the captain he's the captain in the injury room. He's the captain of the ER, the rehab room. I mean, it's true. It's a very unique setting. When we had a couple injuries, we were like, they're all helping each other. Now it's just, a crazy number of people, and I think there's motivation at every level. I think the guys that are stepping up at a higher level, and they're winning. So it's a good atmosphere. So you're wanting to get back. A lot of guys are like, I can milk this to the end of the season. These guys aren't milking anything. They're not milking on the field. They're not milking off the field right now.
Yep, they're not walking down the tunnel separate from the rest of their teammates either. Mike G has a quick question. Let's do a question real quick before we get into the fast twitch muscles. Dr. Pierce, can you expand a bit on the usage of bone stimulators using sound waves on the healing process?
You really want to get that technical right now?
He asked. I mean, the people asked.
There's things where we get speeding up of bone healing, right? So there's waves. Let's just call them waves right now. So there's infrared light. There's lasers and things like that help stimulate the bones. So from a microscopic level, it's stimulating bone stimulation. So osteoblasts, things like that. So the bone heals, but there's a whole microscopic level of that healing going on. So if he's probably pushing towards Hutchinson and Alex about the bone healing, does it promote an increase? Yes, it does promote an increase, the factor of healing. Is that kind of fall into the special sauce level? Yeah, that's one of the things that's in the special sauce to increase the amount and speed of healing.
Woodward Sports Chat Thread, Ryan, Dr. Pierce knows what he's talking about. No doubt about that. But, Doc, you brought along because the fast twitch muscle stuff and everything like that, everything like this with Aiden Hutchinson has to be regenerated, right? Because when you're talking about, this length of time off, you have to almost recreate everything to some degree, don't you?
You do, and it's a process, right? So like I talked about, there's the healing of the bone. There's the atrophy of the muscles and ligaments around it. There's, he's been training himself, I forget how old he is, but for 20 plus years, he's been doing things a certain way. When you get an injury like that, everything goes dormant, that atrophy. Like anybody that's been cast or injured, that leg or extremity becomes atrophy, loss of muscle. It doesn't just turn back on exactly like it was. You have to retrain it. There's brain circuitry. There's a lot of medical physiology I can go into, but the simplicity is like electrical systems. It all has to be turned back on appropriately. It's like a Christmas light right now. If you mess up with one bulb, they're all going out. They all don't play, in a good sequence together. So there's a sequence of it. I brought the fast switch, which is actually towards the end of it, to see what we're going to be seeing at the end of his career. Like, this is the stuff he needs to get to really be productive. Like, I go from that 80 to 100. He'll be good at 80, but fast twitch, even for the kids, this builds speed. This is what we're looking at to build speed. These are crazy activities, but it's that explosiveness. You're retraining that explosiveness for the body, which is so important. For a Hutch getting off the line to get to the quarterback, that explosiveness is important. I think his dancing back in his day helped him with his explosiveness, just to throw that out there. But these are things that, for young kids training, you have to get to that fast switch. Like, you have to train your body to adapt that way. There's a thing on Tarek Hill, why are you so fast? He goes, because I spent every day, instead of playing Fortnite, I was practicing my speed. If you put 100 hours in on working on anything, you're going to be better. So these are the levels. You're talking about professional athletes who I always get, they're like anybody else. They're not. They're guys that spent that extra time to get to it. So
Doc,
I'm going off.
No, but when you talk about that, though, can that be replicated for Hutch? Can he get back to that level? Because almost, I've heard somebody explain before, injuries, sports injuries, sometimes are like memory on a computer. You know how as you use your computer, the memory takes on dings, and it can never get back to what it was, like when you cracked it out of the box. Can Hutch get back to what he was? Can you rebuild it that way?
He can be better. I mean, we've talked about him being better because now he has an injury. Like J-Mo, I mean, we talked about that. I think he's become a more mature, well, in some ways a more mature athlete, but he's more conscious. You have natural skill, and then you have natural skill that you can see it on the majority of players where they play off their natural skill, but then they get to that aging factor. Like Tom Brady's a great example. He said 20 years ago, I knew I wanted to go for longevity. I got to change what I'm doing. I can't take for granted what I'm doing. Hutchinson's there right now. He wasn't one of those guys that, partied on the weekend and took advantage of his skill. He had to work at his skill. So everything's going to come back physically. Is he going to have some extra aches and pains when it's cold out? Yeah, when he's 30, 40 years old. Right now, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be smarter. He's going to be
young. He's going to be young, right?
He's going to be young. He's a young, healing athlete. And he should just have, people are saying, does it take anything off of his career? I don't believe so. I think he's that kind of athlete that's like, I have bigger goals. I'm going to get my body to where I need it to be to make all my goals in life.
Joined here by Dr. Pierce, as we are every Tuesday on Big D Energy. He's every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards as well. As we wrap things up here with you, Doc. A tour in the chat. Everybody's giving Jay Glazer credit for 27 seconds on Sunday, repeating verbatim what others said on Thursday with Dr. Pierce. Here said 2 weeks ago. He deserves a shout out for that. So, Doc,
wow.
There you go. See what I mean?
Yeah, I actually got to play with Jay Glazer during when we had the Super Bowl here, so he's a character and a half, that's for sure. But if I'm in his same presence, that's a big compliment.
No, absolutely. Well, Doc, as always, man, we appreciate the time. It's always great catching up with you. And you got me going on the Hutchinson thing, man. You do, for real. It's just because you see you know what I'm saying? Like, you see it.
It's more real.
Yeah, you see it happen, and you're like, how's he gonna come back from that, dude? Like, his leg has a second knee in the middle of it. How's he gonna come back for that? But you gave me the science.
Yeah, he'll get there. He'll be strong. As far as I know, Campbell said something about his recovery by Super Bowl. I think that's just still a wait and see. I think.
What's your gut say?
I'm saying the same thing. He's gonna beat 6 months. I don't know if he's gonna beat 4 months for recovery. He'll be functional, but that fast switch and all that kind of first step. Will he get that back in time? That's kind of why I showed this clip. That's a very detailed thing for explosive off the line. And that's really what if you look at his quickness, I don't know if they've ever measured it, but he had an extreme quickness. All the guys that get to the quarterback have an extra quickness and able to mobilize the offensive line in the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
So it's more.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on Expert Sports Injury Insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.